Hello and welcome back to Let's Play SD Valis. You know, it has occurred to me that my regrets may not be as deep as Dave's, because that's only the second time I've ever seen someone put a Let's Play on hiatus because the game was actually so bad, and the first time I saw it, it was equally understandable because the guy was doing a Let's Play of Lagoon. Anyway, the second good idea in this game is that the bosses in SD Valis are actually marginally harder, at least, than they are in... than they are in the other versions of Valis 2 that I've played. Some of them do require rather specific weapon choices in order to overcome and proceed. Not usually but at least they tried. Anyway, I hate this level because it involves lots of jumping. And jumping isn't as tight as it was in the turbo version. And this is also where I decide to use bombs. I decide to just advance the screen a little here because there's another of these party balloons that will play merry havoc with you if you try to ride the platform without getting rid of it. And I fall on spikes. I guess I can't avoid doing that in any of the Valis 2s. Yeah, we know this is the silly Valis game because Yuko actually smiles. Anyway, this is really just a reprise of the Stage 2 of the Turbo CD version. Some enemies are the same, some are new, and there's still lots of jumping involved to my regrets. I swear the next game I'm going to play will have no jumping whatsoever. And will be a better game. And it's one of the red rogueless soldiers, which means he must move at least 3 times faster. Okay, guard suit, which I'll be using for a while, and the homing shot. The homing shot is actually far more useful in this game than it was in either of the other 2 Valis 2s, because it has perfect tracking. It will attack enemies no matter where you are facing or where you fire it from. It'll always attack some enemy or shot on the screen. In case I picked up an invincibility and will abuse it as much as possible. And I'm glad to be able to, just switch freely between the weapons again. Again, I wish I could have been able to pick and choose like this in Valis 2 Turbo. There were just some situations where some weapons would be outright better, and the homing was great for cheesing a lot of the bosses. And here I fail to climb. And there we go. So, since this is a copy, the next boss, of course, is Gillen. She is strong-headed. Last general of Rogueless. Anyway, it's possible to actually stun-lock Gillen because whenever you hit him, and you have to actually hit him in the head this time, he will do that rain from the heavens attack or whatever. It takes a little while to get used to the timing on stun-locking him. However, you can't actually nullify most of Gillen through ducking this time, which I do appreciate. And this is about where I get the timing down, so you can call this boss fight over already. See, now he's just as harmless as the original. Maybe more so. There are ways to cheese a few bosses in this game, but the really major cheese won't come until Stage 4. In case that level was so short, I decided to do another one. Thankfully, Valia's house is no longer filled with spikes, so things actually make a bit more sense now. What the hell? I don't know where they got that from. I wish I did. You know what? Maybe I don't. In case you've probably noticed that all regular enemies, no matter how tough, only give you 100 points each. Guess they didn't want to try the math of assigning proper values. For some reason, the homing shot actually seems to confuse this mid-boss. Whenever I use any other shot type, it always makes it a straight line for me. But when I use the homing shot, this boss just seems to get confused and dart wherever. Even then, it hurts me somewhat. The speed suit is really some kind of offense suit, but since I am bad at avoiding damage, I always keep anything defense low. Defense lowering? I must be crazy. Defense increasing on. And I also get the three-way shot. At this point, all shot types do the same damage except for the homing, which does half, but that's going to change after this level. Some of the mid-bosses here really have no equivalents in the turbo or even sharp versions of Valis 2. See, that's what I had gotten used to. The platform's just stopping and waiting for me to do whatever I want. The reason boss cheesing is so important in this game is because some of the bosses pretty much expect you to do it and are more or less built around you to do it, because some of them are nigh impossible if you don't use the cheese strategies. Which reminds me, we're at the boss of this stage. Gaius. In fact, I think his SD version is more intimidating than his actual serious turbo version. Now, this boss delivers the mandatory damage that I was complaining about, though I don't usually take so much. Ducking and using three-way is really the best way to fight this boss, and this is actually a really bad fight against Gaius. Oh yeah, you can't destroy the dragon he shoots out this time around. And he's only vulnerable in the head, not everywhere like last time. So really, he is a much harder boss. Though it wouldn't really take much to make the bosses from Valis 2 Turbo more difficult. Oh dear. Yeah, I don't normally die on this boss, at least not anymore, though the first time I fought him he did give me a devil of a time. Oh man, it doesn't usually go this bad. Algernon can no longer run the maze. Yeah, I allow myself to die in this game because the consequences aren't nearly as harsh as they are in the other Valis 2s. In Valis 2 Turbo, if you die, you lose all of your weapon power-ups, and if you continue, you lose all of your power-ups, which includes your defense-ups and life extenders. And in Valis 2 Sharp, if you die, you have to restart the whole level. There are no checkpoints. Nothing like that at all. Yeah, this is really how it's supposed to go. You can't avoid being hit by the missile shots, really, but you can avoid being hit more than once, which is what you should try to do. I had considered using the invincibility time you get from touching Gaius himself sometime, because touching Gaius does a lot less damage than being hit by the missiles. And Valia is dead again. Those eyes! And Valna actually gets lines this time. Valna is actually playable in Valis 3, but I tend not to use her much there, for reasons that I will explain. Word order is weak with me this time. That I will explain should I ever get around to Valis 3. However, I had considered doing Valis 3 next, but I've done 3 Valis games in less than a month. I'm going to pick something else. Probably a much better game considering what I'm doing now. And creepy undead Valia. And this is actually an upgrade this time, but I'll see you later.